There we go.
Welcome in to episode number 4 of the In This League Fantasy Football YouTube show. I am Scott Bogman.
And I'm Nico Miatello.
How's it going? We finally got this goddamn thing working, Nico. Jesus.
Yeah, this will be our first episode using Google Hangouts, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes in our 11th million episode when it's actually only episode 4. So just to let everybody know, you can find us on inthisleague.com. I am at Bogman Sports. Nico is at Nico ITL. Is that right?
That is right.
We're on that's our Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Pinterest. You can find all of our other stuff on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud. If you want to email us, scottbogman@gmail.com, Nico Miatello, Miatello @gmail.com. Right now is where I asked Nico to turn his headphones down a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Give me a second.
Hear myself coming back just a little bit. But today's show is going to be, we're going to talk about offensive coordinators on the offensive side and, the changes that have been made this year and what to expect from them. And then on the IDP side, we're going to be going over our top 30 at each position. That's safety, cornerback, defensive end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, inside linebacker. We're not going to comb over all of those guys. We're going to give you our top 5 at each position and then highlight a couple guys within those positions, and the rest you can find on inthisleague.com. But without further ado, let's get into the news, Nico.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson not having sex with anyone, and he may still play baseball? What is going on with that?
I don't know. He asked us to pray for him, so if that's your thing, I guess you pray for Russell Wilson. I really doubt he goes and plays baseball, but I guess crazier things have happened.
Pray for Russell? I mean, the dude is a multi-millionaire. What does he need prayer for?
So he can make up his mind, I guess, and not have sex. I think he needs prayer so he doesn't have sex.
Somebody called him gay. I don't know who it was, but somebody said, "Well, just say you're gay, man." I don't think the dude's gay. Hasn't he had like only super hot girlfriends? I mean, I don't know. I think he's just really religious, and I think there's a difference.
A poor decision maker, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. How about because if I was dating those girls, I'd be having sex with them. But that's just me.
Of course.
Hold on. Let's see your hands.
I got a little scratch.
We're both having better weeks than Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah.
And C.J. Wilson, the cornerback for the Bucks, too, also had a fireworks incident. Is this something that's going to have to go in the contract? Just no messing with fireworks? I mean, stupid, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never got the obsession with fireworks. They are maybe the dumbest form of entertainment as far as I'm concerned. But
it's blowing stuff up for America, boy.
Yeah, I guess us Canadians don't do the same. We do have a lot of fireworks, though. When we have festivals, we have this one festival coming up where there's fireworks for 10 days straight. So
I love how fireworks are so American, but they're made by the Chinese, just like everything else in this country. McNabb also had a bad weekend. He went ahead and got himself a DUI out here in Glendale. And then, of course, people asked T.O. about it, and he said, well, he should be more careful, and all the T.O. did say the right things, but he still sounds like a dick because it's coming from T.O., right?
Yeah, he's still Terrell Owens.
Yeah. The Broncos.
Great player, though.
Yeah. How about moving to some real news that can impact us in fantasy?
Yeah.
The Broncos tight end is being viewed as a collective between Owen Daniels and Virgil Green. What do you think that means? To me, I kind of feel like it's just nobody's going to have any value.
Well, last year, Julius Thomas had next to no yardage but 12 touchdowns and was a valuable player. So if it ends up being a collective like Virgil Green's the red zone guy and Owen Daniels is between the 20s, then I definitely like Virgil Green still. But if it ends up being they switch every drive, then that's worse than a running back committee.
I think we could see him both on the field a lot with the way Kubiak runs his offense, right? I mean, a lot of two tight end sets coming from him. Harbaugh said he wants a breakout year for Marlon Brown. That's your guy.
That is my guy, unfortunately, because he's a Ratbird. But He's gonna get that breakout year for Marlon Brown, not Marlo. As far as I'm concerned, I think Marlon Brown's a really good underrated player, and I'll go strong on him. I project somewhere in the realm of 60 catches, 1,000 yards, and 9 to 11 touchdowns for Marlon Brown this year.
It's a lot of touchdowns. Like I'm good on the yards, and I may even go more on the receptions because they're going to throw the ball a lot, especially Trustman there. But 9 to 11 touchdowns is quite a bit. I would stick to the 6 to 8 range myself.
I think he had 7 on like 60 targets in his rookie year, so he's good in the red zone. I have faith in him to produce as a red zone guy.
Well, they also got Max Williams too, so it's not just
that's scarier next year for me than this year.
Yeah, I think he'll get a lot of run this year. But the biggest news of the week, and especially for us since we do both offensive and IDP, suspension gate for Antonio Gates, who didn't knowingly take any performance enhancing drug. You've heard it all before. I mean, you want it to be a different situation because Antonio Gates has always been such a good guy on and off the field. But, I mean, it's the same line you've heard from all those guys. How can you trust any of them? You just really can't.
Yeah, it's true. And this is actually really bad for Antonio Gates, something not a lot of people are talking about. Antonio Gates is 12 touchdowns short of the all-time record for touchdowns by a tight end, and this suspension could derail his chance at getting that record.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so he misses the first 4 games, and then it takes him 2 or 3 games to get back on track because he's missing practices and all that stuff. So when does he become valuable for you? Maybe week 8 if who's the backup tight end?
Ladarius Green. I think he's running away with the job. That guy is a freak. He's probably the fastest tight end we've seen since Vernon Davis, and he's got amazing hands. I love Ladarius Green, and I love how Philip Rivers is going to use him. He's moving up in my tight end rankings. I could see him in the 6 to 8 range before the drafts happen.
Yeah, so you have all that combined with Ladarius Green being good. It may spell just the end of Antonio Gates' career. I mean, he may be somewhere on the low end of 30 catches and 2 or 3 touchdowns this year when it's all said and done. So not a guy you're going to want to take for sure. The other guys were all defensive. Slow Londo McClain, Sheldon Richardson, and which Jones is this? Dante Jones? Daytone. I'm sorry.
There's so many of them.
I get my names mixed up there. There's keeping up with the Joneses for sure. But all those guys are getting 4 games. Those were all reefer, weren't they?
Yeah. I think Rolando McClain, it hasn't come out what it was yet, but people are assuming reefer. Weed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheldon Richardson, that's a big impact on a lot of your teams. I had him as probably a top 10 defensive end before this happened. He was in my top 50 that we went over last week. And now I'm scared off him almost completely.
Leonard Williams is going to be thrown into the fire real early.
Yeah, and Leonard Williams is a good player, as is Damon Harrison, as is Muhammad Wilkerson. So maybe this says a little bit more about Sheldon Richardson, that the Jets might be scared of him, that they drafted Leonard Williams and didn't trade out of that spot. So
it's a risky proposition for sure. I mean, Sheldon Richardson was a much higher rated tight end for both of us, but he's going to have to go down. That's going to have to be the way it is. So, and if Leonard Williams plays well early, I mean, it could be, a relegation or a rotation or something.
Yeah.
So it's just not something you're going to want to mess with too much in IDP. Hopefully you're not going that deep. You can pick somebody else. So let's talk about some offensive coordinators here, Nico. So who we have just kind of not in our top 10. We'll go 10 to 1 after this, but the first one is Greg Olson. And he goes to, where's Greg Olson going again? He's going to Carolina.
He's going to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars, that's right. I always think of Greg Olson, the tight end. And your note here, he says he seems to be an underrated coach, but keeps getting fired. Wait and see. I mean, Jacksonville's not going to make him look any better, is it?
Yeah. No, but his calling card is that ground and pound offense, and TJ Yeldon and a very underrated offensive line could be good for him.
And
So
a good defense too. They could return the
yeah,
ball a bunch.
yeah, we'll have to see. I could see this actually being the right spot for Greg Olson, and in a few years, we see him as one of the better offensive coordinators in the league.
And where did Frank Signetti wind up?
The St. Louis Rams. He was their quarterbacks coach before that, and then now he just took over the reins as OC. I don't really see that offense changing a whole lot. But
no, but I mean, with the great track record of Sam Bradford, it's not like this guy is going to make too much of a huge impact for us fantasy wise, right?
Yeah, and Nick Foles is really not very good. So
it's just a different version of Sam Bradford to me. It's like Sam Bradford without the arm,
or the accuracy. I was looking at this thing last week that showed Mark Sanchez as a more accurate quarterback than Nick Foles in that offense, which is an indictment.
Mark Sanchez is going to hold value again this year. I know a lot of people aren't thinking so, but Sam Bradford is made of glass, and Philly throws the ball 8 million times. Macklin had 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns last year, and who was his quarterback? It was Mark Sanchez and Nick Foles.
Yeah.
So they're going to throw the ball. Sam Bradford's
hurt.
Yeah. They're going to throw the ball. Sam Bradford's going to get hurt, and that's just the way it's going to be. But let's go 10-1 here. We start out with Joe DiFilippo with the Browns. It's his first gig as an OC. He helped Derek Carr's development, but now he has Josh McCown.
Yeah, I think McCown is not good, of course, but I think John DiFilippo's kind of quarterback would be Josh McCown. Okay. So, like, if he were to make a quarterback, it would be a better version of Josh McCown. So maybe we could see some production out of McCown, but especially the way he likes to throw the ball up and let his wide receivers go get it. But he doesn't really have the wide receivers to do that, and you have to drop Johnny Manziel in dynasty leagues now, I think.
Probably.
It's gonna be probably 2 or 3 years before he gets like a decent crack at this job. And I know you hate him because hook him, but I was kind of a Manziel fan coming into the league, so it's unfortunate.
Put a spliff in the Heisman Trophy. What an asshole. How about Jeep Christ? I don't know how to say his name. The Niners guy. He's been working with Kaepernick the last couple of years. Kaepernick, whatever. He's had Ryan Leaf in the past. Yikes. Jake Plummer. Jake the Snake was pretty good for a little bit.
Not with Jeep Christ, really.
But what do we think of him? I mean, I guess it's probably going to be a lot of more of the same.
Yeah, we have to wait and see what's going to happen here, because like he dealt with the 2 years of Ryan Leaf and the bad years of Jake Plummer, and then just left the league. He got upset and he like went home because he couldn't have any decent quarterback play.
Well, if I think if I had to deal with method Ryan Leaf and sexual misconduct Jake Plummer there, I would probably be pretty pissed off too.
And he came back. Apparently, Colin Kaepernick loves him. I'm sort of a fan of Colin Kaepernick as a sleeper this year, because that offense should be built around exclusively him. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not sure this makes a huge impact for the Niners in the win-loss total.
Yeah, I agree with you. How about Bill Musgrave with Oakland? Percy Harvin and Peterson both had career years under him. Now he's got Latavius and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper gives me a hard spot somewhere. So what do you think of Bill Musgrave going to Oakland?
It really makes me like Latavius Murray a whole lot. I think he could be one of those guys who comes out of nowhere and ends up as your, I don't know, RB1 at the end of your, like at the end of it, like RB 10 to 12 overall. But Amari Cooper goes way too high for me, and he's a rookie receiver. And besides last year's rookie receivers, we haven't really had anyone break out. I'm high on Kevin White still, but that's because I have a hard spot for him. So Uh, so I'm still a little bit lower on Cooper. A lot of people see him as a high end wide receiver too. For me, he's more of a high end wide receiver, high to mid end wide receiver 3.
I just think they're
So
going to be down so much. They're going to throw the ball
mhm,
so much, and he's just so clearly the number one option. So
yeah,
he's going to get a lot of targets. So I really like Cooper for this year, but risk averse. I totally understand that. How about Greg Roman going to Buffalo at number 7 for us? He runs a really tight ship. And I'm not sure Shady is his kind of guy, but
yeah.
they're there now. No quarterback. I mean, Tyrod Taylor might be the starting quarterback here. What is Greg Roman going to have for us in Buffalo?
We're gonna have to really wait on Greg Roman a year or two until he gets that quarterback, because his system is the opposite of quarterback proof. It is very much reliant on someone like Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick being the explosive player that helped makes him change his playbook, or Alex Smith just game managing. And I don't think he has either of those guys. Matt Castle is dreadful. EJ Manuel throws the ball at the ground most of the time, and Tyrod Taylor is just a not very good player. So
they're going to be waiting for one of those high draft picks next year for sure. How about Dirk Cutter going to Tampa Bay? They hate him out here at ASU. He likes to pass the ball a lot, and Winston, being a rookie, has 2 great options and a pretty good tight end. I kind of like this fit.
I like it a lot too, and I personally think he has 3 great options, because I'm really high on the wide receiver they got in the 5th round, Kenny Bell. I would say he was probably one of my 5 favorite receivers in this draft, and he's perfect in that system. He blocks like hell, and he's just a great slot guy. So I think Jameis Winston, besides the offensive line, has everything around him he needs to succeed. I could see Jameis Winston playing well this year. I'm still not drafting him as a QB1 because he's still a rookie quarterback, and he's going to have some of those really bad weeks the way Derek Carr did last year. But Dirk Cutter is the perfect fit, even though his ASU tenure was not very.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. That's just a local thing for me. How about Chan Gailey to the Jets? He likes to spread it out a little more. I really, really like his fit with Geno. And I think why is because I watched Cordell Stewart have some success under Chan Gailey a long time ago. And they're the same type of guy. I think Geno is more groomed as a better quarterback overall. But I saw him do it with Slash, and Geno Smith is a lot like him. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think Geno's a really good fit for him. I'm high on Geno. I've been a Geno apologist. He's one of my favorite guys. He has been for a little bit. I loved him at West Virginia. So I think this is a really good fit. One thing I really want to watch with Chan Gailey is when he finds a receiver he likes, he lets that guy do whatever he wants. Stevie Johnson at one point, I believe it was in Gailey's 2nd year, didn't have a route tree. He would just tell him, go out there and do whatever you want, run whatever direction, and get open. And Fitzpatrick would get him the ball. If he does something like that with someone considerably more talented like Brandon Marshall or Devin Smith in the long term, yeah, there's a lot of receiver options there. Even Jeremy Curley. Man, that could be great for someone's value.
Jason Morrow too. I mean, Geno has no excuses this year.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do it this year, he's just not going to do it.
Exactly.
How about Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta? I mean, they really, really need to run the ball, and it's just so that Matt Ryan doesn't get absolutely smashed back there. They have great wide receiver options, but they got to keep the ball on the ground because that offensive line is such garbage. I know. I like how you pointed out he's turned some nothings into something in Steve Slayton and Alfred Morris. What do you think Kyle Shanahan can do in Atlanta?
I think even he wasn't really nothing, but Isaiah Crowell and Terrence West both last year, he turned those guys into something. So Tevin Coleman behind that line, which Kyle Shanahan has a tendency of making not very good offensive linemen look passable. So I could see Tevin Coleman making an impact. I still love Julio Jones. I'm a little scared of Matt Ryan because if he starts getting mashed in the first couple games, he could get out for the year because of an injury. That's how bad this O-line is. We could see him fight David Carr for the all-time record in sacks taken in a season. So that's not going to be very good. But Julio Jones is still arguably one of the 2 best receivers in football, and I'm high
Yeah,
on
you
him
still
no matter
have to
what.
be high on Julio. It doesn't matter how bad he's one of those wide receivers that's going to perform regardless of who the quarterback is. How about I'm just going to let you rant on this. John Fox and Adam Gase to the Bears. Go.
Yeah, John Fox is the worst coach, I think, for offensive systems in the league. People talk about Belichick and Shanahanigans, but no one touches John Fox. He puts in the worst running back often. Man, it took him so long to figure out C.J. Anderson was better than Monty Ball, and it was because of 2 injuries. And fuck, John Fox is the worst. I think I could see him doing the same thing to even Matt Forte, who I think is an incredible talent, but
the Forte.
No one's
Forte's too good.
He's old and he's got an attitude, and John Fox could ruin him too. I like everyone in this offense. I even like Jay Cutler as a quarterback for fantasy because he's an asshole, but he's underratedly accurate. He completed even in his bad year last year, he completed 66% of his passes. So I could see this offense being good with Adam Gase if John Fox leaves forever. And
yeah,
he needs to retire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to add. He ruins running back sometimes, but I really feel that Matt Forte is just too talented to be taken off the field. I just don't see it happening, but he's done it before, so it wouldn't be too surprising. I just don't see it happening this year.
He did it with Jonathan Stewart, who I would contend is one of the most physically gifted running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, but Jonathan Stewart is injury prone too, and Matt Forte is not. So, I mean, Matt Forte gets banged up, but that's more of a usage thing than a, my toe hurts or whatever kind of thing. Gary Kubiak in Denver, this is probably my favorite one. I love the running backs in Kubiak's system because usually they catch the ball too. He likes to spread the ball out. I mean, like you pointed out here, he made Flacco look good. He made Plummer look good. He's made
Matt Schaub look good.
Matt Schaub, Mr. Pick Six himself, look good. Peyton could have a decent year. Yeah, Peyton could have another big year too, while the running back has an even bigger year. So I really like Kubiak going. I kind of don't like his indecisiveness on the running back so far, but whoever picks up the ball and runs with it there with Kubiak is going to be a very, very solid option.
Kubiak has been notorious for in the offseason not making his mind up on a running back, but as soon as week 3 of the preseason, you know who that guy is, and he's going to get the lion's share. So
wouldn't you love to see this guy in Cincinnati? How good would the Bengals be?
Yeah.
God, that's like a perfect place for him, but
Yeah. It could be incredible. And one thing I have to mention is Brock Osweiler. There was a comment I think Elway made a couple weeks ago that he says he believes Brock Osweiler is ready the same way Aaron Rodgers was ready. He didn't say they're the same kind of player, but he says working under Peyton for this long has made him that much better. So if you're in a dynasty league and you have a bench spot for a quarterback, I would very much suggest picking up Brock Osweiler because he's a second-round pick, really talented guy. Yeah, he could be great.
How about Mark Trestman for the dirty Ratbirds? I think this is going to make Joe Flacco a much better fantasy player. And those wideouts, I hate saying that, but what do you think about Trestman?
I feel like Forset's an RB1. Flacco's almost a QB1. Marlon Brown's going to break out. I hate Mark Trestman for this. He's coached in the 2 worst places in the world, Baltimore and the CFL. So it's not going to be good. But Forsett could catch 80 balls the way Forte caught 100 of them last year. He is going to be a demon in PPR leagues.
Yeah, I really, really like Forsett for this year. I still probably won't take him in any league because I hate taking Ravens players because I cannot root for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you see. But
Yeah, I see. I have an easier time putting them higher in the off season than as soon as the season starts. I want to drop every Raven on my team.
yeah, it's rough. I really, it's the same thing, being in Arizona and being a Diamondback fan. I hate taking Dodgers. I have Jock Peterson this year, and he's been really good, but I hate it. I've had Kershaw before on my teams. I don't like it, especially when they're playing my team. But we're gonna go ahead.
I was about to say I'm the same. Even in hockey, I have in our keeper league, I have Sean Monahan for the Flames, and that's another hard one, man. I hate rival team players. It's the worst.
Yeah, it's tough. We're going to go ahead and transition to the IDP side of the show right now. But right now we want to let you know if you want to send us any listener questions you want to address on the show, whether it be offense or IDP, just send them to us. You can tweet us or
email us or comment.
Leave us a comment below and let us know. And we're also going to have an IDP listener league. So if it's an itch you're wanting to scratch, go ahead, give it a try. DM me or tweet me or email me or Nico, either one of us, and we'll get you in an IDP league and you can give it a try. So it's a lot of fun watching the defensive players. So after saying that, let's go ahead and move on to them. So we did some of these last week when we did the top 50. So my defensive ends have changed a little bit. I had to move Jason Pierre-Paul down a lot because of his injury. So right now my top 5 stand at J.J. Watt, Robert Quinn, Chandler Jones, Cameron Wake, and Everson Griffin. I know Cam Wake is way too low. He's probably number 2 on your list. What do your defensive ends look like?
I have J.J. Watt, Cameron Wake, Robert Quinn, Mario Williams, and Carlos Dunlap.
Okay, so point out somebody that you like at defensive end also. We're going to put our top 30 up on inthisleague.com. We just don't have time to go over every single one of them. But give me another defensive end. Yeah, exactly. Give me another defensive end you like for this season.
A guy I'm not sure if I like him as much as I'm intrigued by him is Greg Hardy, because he's going to come back probably near the end of the season. Well, he has a 10-game
talk about guys that are hard to root for. I mean,
you're not kidding. But he once said he could beat LeBron James in one-on-one, so the guy's not lacking for confidence.
But, right, me too.
Yeah, but in those final 6 games, you could see Greg Hardy either not do anything or come and get 8 sacks in 6 games. So he's not a guy I'd be drafting. I have him at my 30 spot, so that's not an ownable defensive end in most leagues. But, man, I keep an eye on him all year. If you have a stash spot for suspended players, like in the NFL.com leagues, I'd put him there.
Yeah, a guy I want to point out is Jared Allen, and Jared Allen is kind of making the transition to outside linebacker. They're going 3-4 this year. He still gets a lot of tackles for an end. He's going to qualify at end and at linebacker. I feel like he should get more sacks this year, right? He only had 5.5 last year. I just feel like it's going to come for him, and the guy is a lot of fun to watch. I mean, sometimes he can kind of be a horse's ass, but he's a lot of fun to watch. So he's down on my list a little bit. I have him at 20. I moved JPP down to 16 because you just don't know with the hand injury. You don't know if he's going to come back week 8, if he's going to come back week 2. So it's kind of hard to gauge with him right now, but I did have him as number 2 on my list. So I had to move him way, way down.
I think he was number 4 on mine before.
What did you move him off your list, or how far down did you move him?
He ended up falling to 22 for me.
Right
below his teammate DeMontre Moore.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really hard to gauge where you can have him. Now, moving positions here, Nico. This is probably the hardest thing. I like you DM me and you said this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah,
and it was rank 30 defensive tackles. I can tell you that I didn't do it. I got to 24 and went, that's it.
Yeah,
I got to take my defensive tackle early because I just cannot do this.
Yeah.
Give me your 1 through 5.
I have Aaron Donald 1, Ndamukong Suh 2, Jarrell Casey 3, Gerald McCoy 4, and Marcel Darius 5.
Yeah, we have the same top 5. I just have a different order. I have Casey at 1. I have Aaron Donald 2, Marcel Darius 3, Gerald McCoy 4, and Ndamukong Suh 5. Point out, give us a defensive tackle not in your top 5 that you want to point out.
I have a couple guys here. I think Geno Atkins I have him at number 7. If he is completely
Fully
healthy,
right?
Yeah, that guy, he could be top 2 or 3 at the position. He is unbelievable to watch.
He's really good.
I'd say when healthy, he's one of the 3 to 5 best defensive players in the league, period. So I'm huge on him. Another guy is one of our Steelers guys. I have him down at 29, and Daniel McCullers. He is a monster physically, and apparently there's been good reports at camp about him. If he gets that nose tackle job, just based on his size alone, he could end up with 10 passes batted down because he's 6'7" with like 1,000-inch arms, and he could get the quarterback a couple times. So I think he's worth a look if he does end up stealing the job away from consistent Steve McClendon.
Did you ever see a picture of him tackling Dree Archer in camp last year?
Yeah, it ridiculous.
It looked like he was picking up a turkey leg because Dree Archer is so small. And isn't he 6? Is he 6'10"? How tall is he? 6'8"?
He's like 6'8", 6'10". He's somewhere in that range, and he's like 360. So
he is a big man, and
yeah.
I would really like to see him. The reason I don't have him on my list is because I'm not sure he's going to get enough playing time between him and Steve McClendon to get enough tackles or get enough sacks. Yeah. But if McClendon went down, I'd definitely move him on my list, at least to number 25, because I couldn't get 30 in here.
Yeah, I had him at 29 because everyone there is pretty much a crapshoot. So
yeah, I mean, after you get to, like around 7, really, I mean,
yeah,
Casey Donald, Darius McCoy, Suh, Jonathan Hankins, and Sinderick Marks. I like Sinderick Marks a lot. 8.5 sacks last year as a defensive tackle and 44 tackles. But after that really sets your marker. I mean, Benny Logan had 57 tackles, no sacks. Don Terry Post, 6 sacks, 45 combined tackles, 37 solo. That's not very good. These other guys are right here. Kyle Williams, 5.5 sacks for only 41 tackles, and it gets really, really ugly after that when you start losing out on the sacks. You get 1 sack, 46 tackles. I mean, you're talking about a little over 2 tackles a game, and you have to wait for a sack. So hopefully, if you're in a defensive tackle league, you get one early. Go get Jarrell Casey. Go get Aaron Donald or Marcel Darius. Marcel Darius had 10 sacks as a defensive tackle last year, and that line is awesome. So get your defensive tackle early for sure.
As early as possible.
Outside linebackers, I mean, I had 1 through, I think, 15 on my top 50. So I'm not going to spend too much time. I'll go over my top 5 again. It's DeAndre Levy, Alec Ogletree, Justin Houston, Jamie Collins, Jelani Jenkins. How about you on outside linebackers?
Levante David, DeAndre Levy, Justin Houston, Von Miller, Khalil Mack.
And Levante David was inside.
He played outside last year. He played weak side.
Okay, I have him on my inside linebacker.
Yeah, there will be a couple guys like that probably.
Yeah, some guys move in and out, but yeah, David would be number 1 or 2 on my list. He'd be either right there with DeAndre Levy. But, I mean, for me, you can kind of tell it's mainly tackle guys. It's, Levy, Ogletree, Collins, and Jenkins are all over 100 tackles. Justin Houston is my only sack guy in there with 22 sacks and 70 tackles. I like Telvin Smith. Fowler was supposed to take that job, but he tore up his knee. It's one of the bad stories of this year. But So Telvin Smith is going to stick there. He only started 9 games last year. He played all 16, but he had over 100 tackles. He had 2 sacks and a pick. I mean, the guy's still going to he's going to hold value because he's a starter. He's going to get a lot of tackles. Who do you want to point out at outside linebacker?
One of the guys I want to bring out is from your university of choice, and that's Brian Arakpo. I'm high on him this year because of that Dick LeBeau moving over to Tennessee. He's going to be opposite Derek Morgan, who can create some pressure. That defensive backfield's going to get a lot better. And I think he could be healthy this year. It's a big if, but if he is healthy, that he could step into the LaMarr Woodley role that LaMarr Woodley played when he was healthy, and just terrorize defenses.
I love Arakpo. It's another word for sack, if you haven't seen that commercial. But the dude can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
I love him, but I did not put him in my top 30 because he's just not going to be healthy. He never stays healthy, and it's very, very disappointing to me because I love that guy and I'd love to see him succeed. But it's just I don't see it happening anytime
Pectorals
soon.
are the weirdest injuries in sports because they recur so often, and then all of a sudden they just stop. The same thing has happened in basketball time and time again. Like someone will get 2 pectoral tears in 2 straight years and then never be bothered by it.
Didn't Al Horford do that?
Yeah, Al Horford did that most recently. So
yeah, so I like him. I just don't think it's going to happen. Moving to inside linebacker, I have Kuechly, David, like I said before, C.J. Mosley, Paul Posluszny, and Bobby Wagner as my top 5. But, you can interchange, the top 15 can go in and out for me. I mean, it's really not that big of a difference. Who is your top 5?
I have Kuechly, C.J. Mosley, Bobby Wagner, Navarro Bowman, Kiko Alonso.
Yeah, Bowman I have down a little bit because the injury scares me a little bit. But I have Kiko at 6. A guy I want to point out is Michael Kendricks, and I really like Michael Kendricks. 83 tackles in 12 games last year with 4 sacks. He gets to the quarterback, he makes tackles and everything, but Kiko Alonso moves in there, so that's 2 guys eating up each other's tackles. So that's why I move him down a little bit. Kiko to me is an amazing inside linebacker, and I think he's going to come close to the league in tackles this year, but he's going to be taking some away from Kendricks. Hopefully that leads to an increased sack number for him, but I think the tackles are going to go down on average. Who do you want to point out at inside linebacker?
First on Kendricks, I have Kendricks and Alonso at 5, 6, and I think probably one of them is going to finish 1 or 2, and one of them is going to finish 10 to 12.
Right.
But I don't know which one's going to do what.
Yeah, I think mine's more obvious. I have Kiko at 6 and Kendricks at 18.
Yeah, that's a guy I have on inside linebacker still because it looks like he's going to play inside again. Is Clay Matthews at 22? Why didn't they draft an inside linebacker?
They must like him there.
Yeah, that's wrong. I feel he's better on the outside. I still hate him because of that Super Bowl, but
well, you know what? I don't hate him, and the reason I don't is because he was coached by Kevin Green, and he reminds me so much of Kevin Green.
That's
I'm tired of seeing his stupid goddamn face in commercials and stuff like that. Oh, there we go. Nico's a professional. Every show, his phone goes off once. That's funny. But yeah, he's much better on the outside. 11 sacks last year, but I think he's one of those guys that'll bounce. He'll go in, he'll go out, he'll play both. So it's really, he's going to go in and out, but he's going to have, somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 tackles and 10 sacks. So
yeah, that's why I still have him. I have him at 22, pretty low amongst inside linebackers, but I still think he's going to be good. I just wish he was on the outside. Yeah.
Let's move to cornerbacks. I didn't have any in my top 50 at all. I know you had a couple, but I'll give you my top 5 here. I have Jason McCourty 1, Joe Hayden 2, Brandon Carr 3, Prince Amukamara 4, and Alturian Werner. Alturian, how do you say his name? All-terrain vehicle.
Yeah.
All-terrain vehicle from Tampa Bay is 5 for me. Who are your top 5?
I also have Jason McCourty 1, Aqib Talib 2, Brashad Breeland 3, Prince of Mukamara 4, and Hayden 5.
Okay, so we had a lot of the same. I had Breeland move down a little bit. I think the dude is so bad that he's going to not see the field as much. So that's why I moved him down a little bit.
I think they're high on him. I have a feeling that they think
he's that dude got beat like he stole something last year. There's no way they can be high on him.
They talk so much about him in interviews
DC.
And stuff. And yeah, man, he's one of those guys who's either going to have a great game or a terrible game. And really, who else do they have? Like Culliver and D'Angelo Hall, who's
they have Nico Mantello. They can pick you up off waivers. You're tall for a corner, right? How tall are you?
I'm about 6'4".
Yeah, so you're really tall for a corner. So Jesus, get on that. Get over there. Tell them you can run and you didn't, injure your knee hopping a fence or anything.
Yeah, so. I probably run like a 12-second 40. So I get everyone.
The guy I want to point out at quarters is Leotis McKelvin. I mean, he started 9 games last year and had 48 tackles. That projects him out to about 75 to 80, which would be top 2 or 3 for corners. He had 4 picks in only 9 starts, and he still returns kicks. So I really like Leotis McKelvin to move up. Just injury woes scare me a little bit, but I'll probably be taking McKelvin in most of my drafts this year.
Yeah, he's a really good player. A guy we are speaking about returning. I don't have Adam Jones on my top 30, but he'd probably fall around 40 if your league doesn't include return yards. If it does, he's 1 or 2. He returns the ball so much that he ends up scoring more than every other defensive back.
I would probably have him in the top 15 if you're placed, just because the tackles don't come with him. So, but if they do, I would move him in there. But he's not in my top 30 either.
He just scores so much because he had like 1,500 return yards last year. It's a lot. A guy I want to point out though is Kerry Williams, who, like you mentioned with Brashad Breeland, is maybe as bad, and now is in the Legion of Boom. So everyone else is not going to get targeted except for him. This guy could have 100 targets as a corner in 3 weeks. This is going to be insane. I could see him leading all cornerbacks in tackles and maybe getting a pick or 2 in there. He's a very vocal leader kind of guy, so he's useful to have on your team, but he's probably more of a 4th cornerback. But it appears they're going to play him as the 2, especially with Lane injured in Seattle.
Yeah, it's you just got to think whoever plays opposite of Richard Sherman is going to get targeted a whole bunch of times, right? Especially when you see those games where Richard Sherman thrown out once, 0 catches, So Kerry Williams could lead all corners in tackles. That could definitely happen. I don't think he has much ball skills, so I don't like that. I like my corners to at least have the chance to get a pick. You know what I mean?
You don't like your Ike Taylor's in fantasy?
No. Ike Taylor was that God. He caught the one against Hasselbeck, so he got it when it counted. But I've seen that dude drop more passes than wide receivers. So it's just ridiculous. They hit him right in his dick beaters and nothing. To the ground every time. That dude couldn't catch a cold.
And every year you'd hear about him in practice all day, practicing how to catch, how to get better.
I read about him catching cement bricks.
Yeah.
In Louisiana in the offseason to improve his hands. And I just think that the cement transferred to his hands. Just made his hands made of stone.
He's one of my favorite all-time Steelers, though.
I love the dude. He could not catch a cold. So we could talk about Ike Taylor all day. Last position here, safeties. We have Harrison Smith, Morgan Burnett, Jonathan Cyprien, TJ McDonald, and Rashad Jones for me.
Okay, I have the same guys, just a little bit different order. Harrison Smith, Morgan Burnett, TJ McDonald, Jonathan Cyprien, Rashad Jones.
I really like Rashad Jones this year. I
Mhm.
mean, he had 80 tackles on 12 starts last year. And if this offense improves like we think it will with Jordan Cameron, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills coming over, Mike Wallace going out, Jay Ajayi being in the backfield instead of, fumble-prone Daniel Thomas, this offense could really, really step up. The Dolphins' opponents are going to have to be playing catch-up, and that could be even more picks and tackles for Rashad Jones. So I really like him. It was hard for me to not move him any higher. The one guy I want to point out, not in my top 5, is Charles Woodson. I know he's a million years old, but last year he still had 113 tackles and 4 picks. The dude is still a stud. I moved him down a little bit from where I would want to rank him because of his age, but that is really it for me. Who do you want to point out?
I first on Charles Woodson. I think I have him. I don't have him in my top 30. Probably be in top 35 though. I'm just a little bit afraid of that old man syndrome catching up.
I have him at 11. He had 113 tackles last year. You don't have him in your top 30 safeties?
No, I see. I'm afraid that something's gonna happen and he's gonna get hurt or something. It's just
but there's so many other safeties.
Yeah, that's true. I just have. He could maybe make a move in there. There's some guys at the end that I'm not too sure about, but I just really don't like drafting old defensive backs.
Okay.
I'm always afraid that they're going to get pulled or something.
No, it's understandable.
It's still Charles Woodson, but also at my 11 spot, I have Calvin Pryor for the Jets. That defensive backfield got maybe infinitely better. It went from one of the worst in the league to arguably one of the best. With Revis, Cromartie, Screen, and Gilchrist around him now, Pryor could be free to roam and do whatever the hell he wants in this defense. He could end up racking up tackle for the loss. That guy could be everywhere. I think he's a ridiculously good player too. I loved him in that draft year. I wanted him. We got Chazier. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, but yeah.
Well, if he can play safety, it might be a little bit better, right? He's fast enough.
He's fast enough, yeah. I don't know. Calvin Pryor is one of those guys I'm really high on. I think he could end up with like 80 tackles, a few tackles for a loss because he likes to play in the box, and maybe 5 or 6 picks.
Yeah, it's safety is easy, man. I mean, safety is so easy. They're just there's always options at safety. Everybody tackles everybody. It's great to draft safeties, especially early. That's it for the show. Next week, we might start on divisions. I'm not 100%. We haven't hammered it out yet, but we will definitely have a show for you next week. And like I said, you guys can find us on inthisleague.com. We'll have all of our top 30s, except for I only have 24 defensive tackles because they're ridiculous. You can find that on inthisleague.com, at Bogman Sports, at Nico ITL on Twitter. And if you have any questions, send them to us. And we will see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Yeah, see you later.